All right, everyone. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Rithmm Rundown. Myself, Josh Applebaum, with my wise guy sidekick partner, my guy Cade Harper. How's it going, Cade? Great to be with you, man. How you feeling? We got a big slate here, man. We got Seahawks, Cardinals. We were prepping for the show, and Parker was actually telling us about a very sharp play on a player prop that's probably going to make you puke, and you say there's no chance it's going to cash, but there's a very good edge to this player prop. So looking forward to talking Seahawks and Cardinals with you, Cade. I'm also looking forward to Vikings, Steelers, Colts, Rams, and Browns, Lions. And then, Cade, we haven't even talked about college, but I wanted to pick your brain second half of the stream here. FSU and Virginia, Notre Dame, Arkansas, LSU, Ole Miss, which is my number one, I guess 1 and 1A, that game, as well as Alabama and Georgia. So have another loaded slate here for you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Cade, how we doing? How you been? I want to recap a little bit of last week's show, but how are things going, my friend?
We're doing fantastic. Yeah. Last week was great. Pretty much looking to keep the train rolling yet again. Yeah, let's do it again. Feeling good, though. Great weekend ahead, too.
Yeah, I really like what's weird. I don't know if you agree with this, Cade, but I really like the college slate more than the NFL slate. A lot of NFL,
for sure.
There's questions about quarterbacks and backups and all kinds of things going on. So I'm really excited to talk this college slate here. But as we always like to do, start off the show with saying welcome to everyone and thank you for tuning in. A little bit of housekeeping. And then I want to kind of hit on some games from last week that we nailed, and one that was, I would argue, my worst bad beat in years, Cade. You might know what I'm talking about, with someone blocking an extra point and crushing my plus 3.5. But we do want to mention with Rithmm, we have a promo code for you guys. So if you're new to Rithmm, you want to give it a shot, we're going to give you 25% off. So use the promo code START25. We also have this awesome leaderboard contest. I think, Cade, it really hasn't gotten the attention it deserves because Megan and Brian and Parker and the whole crew at Rithmm, they're crazy right now. They're giving away money left and right. So this is a great chance to reward some of our greatest users. And you don't have to be a pro, but if you create a model, it does very well. You can win up to $1,000. So we have our weekly NFL contest. You can always go to your homepage on the app, click see details. It's going to give you all the information here. So if you have the best model, and it's weekly, it's pretty cool. It's not just for 1 month or for the entire season, but each week you can win $1,000 if you have the number one model, 600 for the second model, and $400 for the third model. So enter these contests. It costs nothing to enter, and you can win some money. And who doesn't like that? And then lastly, I wanted to mention the refer a friend. If you guys are checking out the app, you'll see this awesome new icon here, refer and earn. So if you have a friend that you want to turn on to Rithmm, and maybe you have seen the value of Rithmm and you want to tell to your buddy, hey, I got this awesome new model that helps me pick winners. Hey, you can share your referral link. Your friends are going to get 50% off their first month, and you get a 1 month free access as well. So just wanted to mention that. And then also, Kate, I just wanted to mention the Discord, because if everyone wants to join the Discord, you can always scroll down. That's basically a community where you can chat with other Rithmm wise guys and wise gals. You can talk about games, talk about models. So that is always available to you at the bottom of the Rithmm page. But real quick, Cade, hitting on last week, Dolphins. Mwah, chef's kiss.
Easy.
Dolphins plus
Wonderful.
12.5. That was an inflated line in favor of the Buffalo Bills. It was, I think, Bills minus 10.5 up to 12.5. It came back down to 11.5. So you had some of that sharp buyback. But here's where we always want to highlight the edge between what Rithmm is predicting and what the market is showing. Rithmm had Dolphins plus 7.3, and it was almost legit, specifically spot on. There was a field goal late, Cade. I was like, Cook's going to run it 100 yards, and I'm going to lose my, my Dolphins play. Luckily, he didn't. 7.3 cashed. Texas Tech was absolutely huge against Utah. They had that sharp line move, 4.5 down to 3. Rithmm had about a 3-point game, so that backed up Texas Tech. North Texas was a dog to fave line move. They had to go to overtime, but they came through against Army. Rithmm had them minus 1.5. And Louisiana Tech, minus 1.5 up to minus 3. Rithmm had them Louisiana Tech minus 4.2. But even if you have like a 5-1 weekend, Cade, the one loser, my heart was broken. If I win a bet, it kind of goes in year one year out the other. And I don't really think about it.
Right, yeah.
Always remember your losers. I want to just say to everyone out there, if you were like me And Kate, I'm going to ask you, did you have plus 3.5 with the Rams? And was that the worst bad beat that you can remember?
I found out in the worst way possible because I was at my door getting my food from a delivery guy. And in the back of my ear, I don't know who was announcing. I don't even know his name. I forget his name. Maybe it was Ian Eagle, but I hear his name and it's blocked. And I kind of look at the corner of my ear as I'm handing the food in my hand. And then I just see Jordan Davis's big body frame just running full sprint. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. This guy's talking to me. He's like, I'm like ignoring him. So it was a bad way to find that one out.
Yeah, it was just disgusting. And I mean, if you're new to sports betting, you're like, what the heck is going on here? If you've been betting long enough, you know that this happens sometimes. Sometimes you're gonna have a game break your way. Sometimes it's gonna go against you. I'll give you a perfect example, Cade. Like as I'm having my heart ripped out and torn out by obviously Davis, who by the way, he could have just grabbed the ball and gone right on the ground, guaranteed a win, end the game. He had to run it back, whatever. D linemen rarely get that chance, so I'll give him credit there. But as I'm losing Rams plus 3.5, I'm also covering Jets plus 7 because the Jets did the same thing. Blocked field goal, field goal brought it all the way back. So again, bad beats can kill you. Backdoor covers are as good as it gets. I wouldn't react too much to over it because sometimes, what is it, Cade? Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. But of all these winners we handed out yet last week, which were great, I still cannot get over Rams plus 3.5. So do you have by the way, Cade, before we get in all these games, do you have a bad beat that's like the worst in your life? Is there one you remember prior to that one? Like, how do you react to bad beats when things like that happen?
I mean, the worst bad beat that I can remember specifically was probably during March Madness. If like my people who follow me, they probably know exactly what I'm talking about with St. Peter's a very long, like couple years ago. But that, yeah, Rams is going to be in my head till the end of the year, without a doubt. That's not even a question. Yeah.
Yeah, that was just absolutely brutal. Yeah. But we'll talk about it later. I like the points of the Colts there going to the Rams plus 3.5. So
right.
Let's not waste any more time, man. I always want to kind of slow roll at the beginning just to let people file in and get ready and get excited about the show. So let's talk as we always do. Start every Thursday live stream with Thursday Night Football. So the way I'm going to approach it, like we always do from my perspective, let's talk about what the betting market is doing, how they're handling this game, and then we'll talk about what Rithmm has to say. Cade, I love working with you because you're a true sharp. You have your models, you set your own line. So I'm always like, what does Cade have for this game? What number does he have? So more to that. But obviously, Seahawks and Cardinals both come in 2-1. Seahawks covered the 7.5 easily. They blew out the Saints last week, 44-13. Cardinals. And here's another thing, what I always like to mention: money lining short favorites. Because if you took 49ers, Mac Jones had that comeback win. They win 16-15. But the 49ers are minus 1.5. So little recommendation out there to everyone listening. If you were 49ers, you laid the 1.5 and lost because they only won by 1. Money line short favorites. I swear to you, it'll protect you. You're gonna pay more juice, but you would have won money line Niners. You would have lost laying the 1.5. But this one is interesting to me, and I'm going to tell you one thing that scares me about this game, Cade. But then I'm going to kind of maybe kind of take that back a little bit. This is a very clear Seahawks play to me. So what I like about Seattle tonight is the dog to fave line movement. One of my favorite system matches. It actually happened with North Texas in college football last week. If you go back a couple weeks when the Eagles played the Chiefs, there was a dog to fave line move. Like when you open, in this case, we opened with Cardinals minus 2.5 at home. We've now flipped to Seattle minus 1.5 on the road. So right off the bat, when I see a team go from a dog to a favorite, that's like automatically almost 9 times out of 10 I want to take because it's kind of rare you see that happen. And it tells you smart money is taking a clear position. So this line is flipped in favor of Seattle, plus 2.5 to now minus 1.5. What scares me, Cade, is the fact that this is a public play. So I don't know if you have the same fear a little bit, but right now you're getting around 75% of bets and dollars on Seattle at DraftKings. And that's typically a red flag. I don't want to be on the side getting heavy public support. But the reason why I'm going to stick with Seattle money line, short favorites, again, don't want to have Seattle win by 1 and you lose the 1.5 like what happened to the 49ers. But if you look at the splits at DraftKings, they look really good on the money line, not quite the spread. 76% bets, 90% dollars on the Seattle money line at DraftKings, 71% bets, over 90% dollars on the Seattle money line at Circa. It's been a chalky year in general, Cade. Favorites are 35-13 straight up this year, 10% ROI. They're winning almost 75% of the time. What I like in particular, though, is chalk on Thursday night. Typically, the home team's favored in these short weeks, but if you just play the chalk to win on Thursday Night Football, it's 3-0 this year. It's 207-78, 73%, 6% ROI since 2006. A couple other angles here. Mike McDonald's 8-1 straight up on the road. He's 2-0 against Gannon. You also have Kyler Murray, only 6-14 straight up, 30% win rate as a home dog in his career. So again, aside from the public play, I love everything about Seattle here. And then if we go to the model for this game, and we find this one, what I like, let me just minus this out so I can go to the games, go to all games. I have two models on Seahawks. So the first one that I like about Seattle is a Green Star recommended play. Seattle is minus 2.9 according to Rithmm. So that to me makes me a little less anxious about Seattle being public. The fact that Rithmm has a almost 3-point favorite edge, which provides an edge. You're laying 1.5 for money lining. Rithmm saying it's a 3-point game. It's a Green Star recommended play. That gets me excited. And then we also have another angle here. It's a caution flag, but it's Seattle minus 3.3. So I feel like I'm aligning the betting market, the line move towards Seattle, the money lining of Seattle with what Rithmm is telling me. And Rithmm is saying this should be about a 3-point game. So I'm take committed. I got Seattle money line minus 125. Cade, I know I rambled there. Talk to me about this game. What's your take on the side?
Yeah, I mean, going back to what we pretty much preach down everybody's throat for ever since we started this thing, the reverse line movement is immediate. I don't want to say red flag, but pretty much like a green flag in our case, at least. It's a telling story about the injuries and the depth of both teams, really, because it's always a key in these short week games. So for Seattle's case, you get Julian Love back, you get Devin Witherspoon back. So that's pretty much their talented secondary in a sense with those two guys right off the get-go. Arizona, on the other hand, cluster of injuries in both secondary, offensive line. You have Will Johnson that's doubtful, it looks like. I don't know if he's probably been upgraded or downgraded to out. 3 starters on this offensive line are questionable. With as talented as we know that Seattle's defensive line is, I would have already liked them in the spot, but it seems like we haven't really lost much value by waiting, honestly, at this point. So since if you take the injuries into matter of fact, you have this banged up secondary, I think they're going to have a hard time stopping Seattle's passing attack that's been better than you think, honestly. Sam Darnold, number 1 graded quarterback on Pro Football Focus through the first 3 weeks. Shockingly enough, right? Yeah, because we've kind of looked at both of these teams, kind of seeing that they're maybe overrated in some cases. Rightfully so. But they lead the NFL in DVOA through the first 3 weeks as well. Top 6 on both offense and defense. I got no complaint. And then you look at the trends part of it. Even Kyler Murray, 5-15 on the money line when he takes on the divisional opponent as an underdog. Not even like a home or away split as a whole. It's just in general. Sam Darnold, on the other hand, even though he's had a pretty rough start to the NFL career, he's turned things around. He is 12-3 on the money line whenever he's a starter. As far as what I've seen, at least, I don't know how true that is. But these teams they're rated as relative peers, but Seattle, I think they're the much better team in this case. They're also benefiting from the new offensive coordinator who has pretty much brought back this offense from the grave. And now Cardinals run game, you lose James Conner last week due to a brutal leg injury. Whoever saw that, I apologize. That was bad. But Seattle's dominance over this team, specifically in the divisional game like this, they've won 7 straight against the Cards, with only one of those games within 7 points. So my play for this game, I am money lining Seattle, but I'm also taking an alt of minus 4.5. And then maybe, if you want to, take a minus 6.5, considering the history between the two. I like them to kind of win and continue their dominance in this rivalry. So yeah, I'll take the road favorite.
Happy to hear that, man. Yeah, I'm right there with you. And by the way, you're explain to the audience a little bit with alternate lines, because I think if you're a new better, that doesn't really make any sense to you. You feel like, hey, I have to play the one consensus number
Right.
that is available at every book, which is basically -1.5. And I would say, Cade, as I'm looking at the odds right now, we're still about 2 hours away, but I am seeing on my live odds page a lot of books juicing up Seattle -1.5 to -115. So my question is, between now and kickoff, do we see this get up to 2? If it gets to 2, that's further validation of respected money coming in
Sure.
here on Seattle. But what prices did you get with those alt lines? And can you just explain to new viewers or people watching the program here, how do you find those numbers, and what's your thought process behind that?
So within that, it's not, I don't want to say it's a projection thing, but it would more be so of like a historical data thing. Because very rarely is a model, specifically maybe a rhythm model for that matter, will be like 2 possessions off of what the original line is. To me, that's not what you should really base off of an alt line play off of. An alt line play is more of like taking a chance based on your historical data or how well a team matches up against said team, being the Cardinals for this case. The injuries are just too much simply for me to put just a small play on a money line here. Yes, I do have a full unit on the money line for Seattle. However, in terms of like unit sizing, because the prices are obviously going to be much not juiced, obviously, for a alt line like that. So for 4.5, I have +150. This is on FanDuel. And then if you are curious, I don't have this, but if you are gutsy enough to take them by a touchdown, -6.5 is +200 flat. So I do think there is some significant value on those. And yeah, like I said, given the history of the historical dominance that Seattle has, I do like the chance of taking that.
Yeah,
So I'm
great
just
point.
playing
So
4.5. Yeah.
yeah, if you're basically, what Kate is illustrating is, if you're bold enough to be willing to play a worse number, remember that you're getting a much better payout. So it's the the give and take, the risk, the reward. You're taking a bigger risk, knowing that, okay, if I'm laying 4.5, they got to win by 5 or more. If I'm laying 6.5, they got to win by 7 or more. But if that were to happen, hey, you're getting a much bigger payout here. So
Right.
great by you to kind of explain that. I would also mention, and Cade, like, I've been betting long enough that people know I'm a contrarian bettor, so I've been getting a flood of like DMs today. Like, how can you possibly take Seattle? They're getting 75% of tickets. So if that worries you, and I totally understand why it would, I think if you want to play Arizona, to me, the only option would be a teaser play. Like, you can do what you want. Maybe they
Oh, yeah,
win.
right. Right.
Maybe you're buying low because they were laying 2.5. Now you're getting 1.5. But if you wanted to take Arizona 1.5 up to 7.5, go through some key numbers, hey, that really is a great Wong teaser, because 3 and 7 are your most common margins of victory. So that
Sure.
jumped out to me. I wanted to ask you about the total here, Cade, because I have a couple people
Yes.
that I really respect that really like the under here. And what jumped out to me is the splits and the line movement, because if you look at the way this total has, it hasn't moved a ton, but some shops are as high as like 45, 44. You're down to 43.5. You have some really good splits in terms of only like 30% of bets are on the under, yet the total has fallen. You have some angles here where primetime unders are 6 and 5 this year. Doesn't sound amazing, but they're 58% since 2019. If you're a divisional under where the total falls at least a half point, you're 60% this year. You're 56% since 2022. And it is a low total. So I totally get the kind of concern from any kind of better that says, hey, 43.5, they both get around 20. You're going over that number. But even though, and to me, so I'll just say I'm not touching this total, Cade, because I have 2 models that are conflicting. I have one model on the over, I have one model on the under. Neither of them are green star plays. We're predicting literally right on the number, 43.5. And my over model says 44.8. Typically, I like to go primetime unders. I would lean under. Maybe if you wanted to tease Arizona up, and then maybe you take this total up to 49.5 and go under. Like, you could make a case for that. But talk to me about the total, because when I said the total, it looked like you got excited about it.
Yeah. I don't have a play in it. As much as excited as I would, I don't have a play on it. But I guess I kind of do have a play on it, because I did play a little tease in a way. Last week with Cardinals last Sunday, there's not much difference in this game to me, because I just have a hard time with Arizona finding much success on offense, knowing that Marvin Harrison has the yips right now. Kyler Murray is yet to really prove himself this season as so far. With who they played, I mean, like, they should be one of the more like watch out kind of teams. To me, it's just like so bland. It's like almost, it's just par. That's the best way I can describe it. 4.1 yards per play last week though, and when they faced another legitimate defense, obviously with San Francisco's, of course. And to me, in this game, for Seattle's case, I feel like they'll want to control the pace of the game, but then again, having both secondaries banged up, even though that you have some guys that are back, yes, it doesn't mean that they're going to be 100%. That's what scares me off personally, because we know the explosiveness that can come from both offenses in that case, really. I can't get confident enough to take the under, but I did have over 33.5 at an alt paired with East Carolina money line for tonight, actually, for a half unit play. That was probably the most, I don't want to call it that. I don't even know what you would call it, but that was like the best way I could find to play into a total some way, and taking ECU tonight against Army, which for the sickos out there is a college football game on tonight.
And I'm glad you mentioned it, Cade, because good on you. I mean, I'm kind of with you on ECU. They moved up. I think they're -3.5 up to like 4. I see one book at 4.5. So anytime you have Thursday night where the vast majority of bettors are focused on the NFL game, the fact that this is kind of even though it's the only game in town in college, it's a little bit under the radar, yet you're seeing a line move. Tells me ECU has been targeted here. So we're going money line. We're going Seattle. So let's go Seahawks. And I wanted to scroll down, just make sure we can get the best price, because anytime you click your model, make sure that I guess I should click the money line instead. Make sure you're getting the best of the number. So right now across the market, I got -125 earlier today, Cade, -126 at FanDuel. Some other books are -130. You may not think it's a big deal, but always just get in the routine of playing the best of the number. Long, extrapolate that over the long term. You're going to make more money by finding the best price. Before we move on to some of these other games, we got to talk about a prop bet, because this is one that is hard to stomach, but boy, do we have a really sharp model here with Rithmm. So I flip over to the props. I like to go just game by game, make it easy on you. Passing yards, there is an angle here with Kyler Murray, over 217.5 recommended play. He's predicted for 236.4. That's a pretty big gap. But the one that really got everyone excited at Rithmm, and if this hits, I think Rhythm's throwing a pizza party here, Cade. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Under 84.5 receiving yards. Now, if you look at this box score, what has he done so far this year? 124, 103, 96. I mean, he's basically at 100 every game. No more Tyler Lockett. No more DK Metcalf. I mean, he's really emerged and been fantastic. Already has this good connection here with Sam Darnold. However, Rithmm is predicting for Jackson Smith and Jigba 57.2. So that is a huge discrepancy between what the market is offering and what the prediction here from Rithmm is. I mean, you're looking at like almost 30-yard difference here. So that's pretty huge. Also, it's a smart signal. For those of you who don't know, Rhythm's been hard at work adding these smart signals, which are basically just the best of the best. Like, we always are looking at models that are green star or caution flag. If you can think of a green star and go even higher than that, that's your smart signal play. So it looks at specific situations in terms of, in this case, receiving yards, win probability, distance to market, in this sample size. So players who have been in this can, fit these criteria. Basically, the model's 13-9. It's hitting nearly 60% of the time, and it is, again, the best signal that we have. So I told you guys before we were talking to Parker, like, hey, we're going to be really rooting for the under here with Smith and Jigba. But my reply to that was, it's tough because he's really good and he's gone way over this number, but you're putting your faith in the model that Rithmm is kind of showing us here. And also, star players, primetime games going under, that's kind of just a classic contrarian wise guy play, because everyone drunk at the bar tonight has got Smith and Jigba over, parlayed with Kyler Murray over, all the best players over. So any thoughts on this one, Cade? Do you have the stomach to play this under. Your thoughts on this one? Because man, it looks gross, but usually the gross ones are the sharpest.
If Rhythm's saying it, I mean, let's just put this out this way. Look at last week's Smart Signal, right? With Ray Davis. You will never guess who had the over and then decided to ladder it up to 60. And then what did he end with? Goose eggs.
Yeah, I didn't want to rub it in, man. That was a tough
absolute goose eggs. And then he played a snap, and then naturally it counted. So that means it lost. So I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So that was his only snap, by the way. So Rhythm either thinks, one, this game is going to be 3-0 at halftime and have like a 13-6 final, or they think that a guy like Torrey Horton or Cooper Kupp is going to just pop off instead of JSN tonight, which at this point, I'm done fading the smart signals. You guys learned your lesson last week. So you know what? Yeah, we'll be confident on the JSN under tonight. I expect some regression with yeah.
It's also tough too because like I'm committed and I cannot wait to sweat Seattle money line. And like if I also take the Smith and Jigba under, again, I'm either going to go under with Rhythm or I'm not going to play it at all. I'm not going to go directly against it. But Smith and Jigba, 30-yard catch, scores a touchdown. Like I'm happy that, the Seahawks are doing well. Then I'm like, ooh, Smith and Jigba, don't do too much here. So it kind of makes your sweat. Like if I had no play on the side, I'd be more inclined to play the under. But the fact that I'm rooting for Seattle to do something offensively, but yet I got to make sure it's not Njigba doing it.
Right.
That's just a tough sweat as a bettor that
contradicting yourself. It doesn't feel right. Yeah,
exactly. So that one is just, I mean, if this thing hits, this is going to be an all-timer for Rhythm. So before we move on here, Cade, any other props for tonight? Any other plays on this game? I'm kind of just sifting through some of these. We did mention the Kyler Murray overpassing. If they're a dog and they got to catch up, maybe he's got to throw it. You could think about that. Completions, attempts, not really seeing any other green star. I guess Charbonnet. Isn't he questionable? I was wondering if he's going to play or not. Under 41 and a half. That's another.
I think he was confirmed to play, but yes, he was at first.
Yes, that's another one that Rhythm is predicting here. 23.4. Yeah, under 41 and a half. So that's another one that kind of caught my eye. But if you want to keep on cruising here, man, I got some more games I wanted to throw at you. Let's talk about the Vikings game because this is one of my favorite system matches. The international favorite, dog to fave. So this game in Ireland, we got some good luck in Ireland, Cade. Remember our first stream? We had, who was it? Iowa State, the outright win. Yeah. So that maybe we'll continue that here.
Well, but I had Kansas State actually, but
my bad. Sorry, dude. I know you went 10-1 that day. That was your only loser. So can't win them all. Yeah. But talking dog to fave, same sort of thing here. I really like the Minnesota Vikings. I know it's hard to sweat Carson Wentz. He actually looked pretty good in his debut. But over in Ireland, this game opened Pittsburgh laying 0.2 points. We've now flipped to Minnesota minus 2.5. So you have that dog to fave move in favor of Minnesota. And what I like about this one is an international series favorite. So, Cade, by the way, after this stream, send me your address because I want to send you a copy of my book. But I do have a system in the book, specific on page 259, called International Series Favorites. So when you are playing outside of the country, we've seen chalk do very, very well. The updated number here coming into this year, from 2007 up until this year, International Series favorites are 33-10 straight up, 77%. So typically the chalk does well. Now it's not a huge rhythm play because if I go to this game and I go to this spot, it's telling me to take Steelers on the spread. It does have basically Steelers favored slightly. Steelers getting a point in 1.4. So you could kind of flip that and say, Vikings minus 1.4. Here's a tough one because Rhythm isn't totally with me, but I guess I'll hang my hat on the fact that, some of these models are saying Vikings by like a point. So I moneyline the Vikings, but I don't really have a great support from Rhythm. Any thoughts on this one, Cade, in Ireland?
Yeah, this one, I also do have the Vikings a little bit more juiced. I have it at minus 140. But yeah, Steelers are 2-1 with terrible box scores against these teams. I don't like the way that Aaron Rodgers has been playing, despite what people have been saying, of course. To me, Carson Wentz has been pretty decent, solid upgrade from McCarthy. But I just think this line's a little bit crazy. The way that they look great against Cincinnati, obviously, but the way that Brian Flores just runs this defense, you cannot pay me enough to like just fade him at this point. Like he has been on one, and yeah, I like them over. I like the favorites overseas. I think they 2-0 against the spread and straight up. Is that, I don't know if that was right or not. I don't know if I remember that from last year in the London games. I don't know how true that is. Typically, I don't like buying backup quarterbacks though. But sorry, go ahead.
No, Kate, I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm just thinking.
No, you're fine.
We had the Brazil game where the Chargers won outright against the Chiefs. That would technically be international series, but yeah, a lot of my systems were focusing on like Europe in particular. So like Wembley, Ireland. We've had some games in Germany. That's where your edge has really been. So I'm with you. And by the way, I'll just tell you this: as a Patriots fan, the Patriots did everything they could to give that game away to the Steelers. Steelers did everything they can to give the game to the Patriots. 5 turnovers. Ramondre Stevenson, Drake May making mistakes. I mean, yeah, the Steelers are 2-1, but if you actually watch that game against the Pats, I mean, they did nothing special. That should have been easily a Patriots win if they don't turn it over 5 times.
Yeah, to me, this is more of like about selling Pittsburgh to me than buying high on Minnesota, in my opinion. So I think, I do like the number. I don't know what the money line would be at right now, but I know I had it decently juiced up. I don't know if that's probably went higher now that the line moved up to 2.5. But
yeah, I'm seeing, what is it now? Around minus 140, somewhere around there.
Okay, so still the same then. Okay.
Yeah, not too bad at all. So yeah, I think we're both leaning toward or officially on Vikings there. The other one I wanted to ask you, the Colts, because I am gonna just root like hell against the Rams for what they did to me, because they hurt me, Cade. They hurt me so bad this past weekend. So the Colts game is interesting because we've seen this line move pretty good toward the Colts. We opened this game. Most shops were pretty much Rams, like as high as -5, even like 4.5, 5. I think I saw a 5.5 opener. This line is now down to 3.5. It's juiced toward the Colts plus 3.5, -115. Daniel Jones, believe it or not, has been really good as a dog. This dates to his Giants years, 64% against the spread. You also have a dog who can score system match. This total really ticked up 46.5 up to 49.5. If you can put up points, you can keep pace, you can backdoor cover. So I took Colts plus 3.5, and I have a great recommended Rithmm model here, where Rithmm is saying it should be a 2.4 game. You're getting 3.5. That's a full point edge. I have another angle here. It's a non-recommended play, but Colts plus 1.3, even a closer game. So, Kate, any thoughts on the Colts? I'm a little worried because they're 3-0, and like, it seems like just take the points. That kind of scares you. And obviously, it's everyone's annoyed with the Rams like me and probably doesn't want to play them again. What's your number on this game, and do you like the Colts plus the hook?
Yeah, this one, it's weird because typically spots like these, following a demoralizing loss, obviously for the Rams case, you would think that, you back the team for a bounce back in this kind of spot. To me, that's not the case. I have been arguing back and forth about how wonderful Daniel Jones has been on this Colts offense so far. And Jonathan Taylor looks like the prime Jonathan Taylor that we all know and love again from the fantasy prime that he's been in. Unbelievable. To me, I don't think it's the Rams offense that we have to worry about, but their defense, I would honestly be worried about as well. I do think that they do kind of stress out the offensive line of Indy because they've been strong. But to me, it's just I cannot fade this Colts offense right now, knowing that the points is more than a field goal. Like I would buy it at the hook absolutely in a heartbeat if I had to, which more than likely by the time I hop off here, I will. But this is probably their toughest test so far, honestly, for the Colts case. To me, it's just JT is their cowbell kind of guy. So as long as they feed him, maybe involve Tyler Warren a little bit more this week, I think their secondary steps up against Adams and Puka personally. So I do think that I have a model. This is nuts. I have a model that has them outright, but I'm just going to take the 3.5 for now. but I do like
Yeah.
that outright sound.
Yeah, I know. What's the money line on that? Plus
just
130?
minus
Or no,
the price of it. Yeah, I
plus
don't know.
160?
Oh, phew,
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
I do.
Hey,
I like
all
it.
the power to you, man. They went out right. You're happy. I'm happy with 3.5. So
It happened with the Browns last week, so I'm fine with that. And I got
that's
called
right.
nuts, so I'll take that.
No, you're totally right. And I think I wanted to mention this because the Browns plus 8.5. I think Rithmm had like a 6.5 or 7 there. So that's another example of it sounds gross, but as long as Rithmm is telling you this game should be basically closer than what the market is saying, that's really great if you're going to play a dog.
Right.
Also, scroll down, get your best price here because as we mentioned a second ago, a lot of books are juicing up the plus 3.5 with the Colts. So like minus 118 Bet Rivers, MGM minus 115, minus 110 FanDuel. Don't tell anyone this. DraftKings minus 105. That tells you probably a lot of people at DraftKings are going with the Rams there, giving you a better juice price. So I'm with you wholeheartedly on the Rams. The one other NFL game I wanted to hit on before we move on is the Cleveland Browns. Now, this one has been interesting because it's kind of gone back and forth. Let me just find this one because we opened this game at, I think it was Lions minus 10.5. Early, like Monday, Tuesday, this line got all the way down to 8.5. And it seems like once it got to 8.5, you had a lot of sharp buyback, hit Detroit, buy low on Detroit, and bring it back up to around 10. So it's kind of been back and forth. To me, if you're playing making a bet early in the week, sometimes you want to play it early and pick off a good number. Other times you want to wait just to see if it kind of evens out a bit. In this case, it has kind of gone back to Detroit. I'm looking at Cleveland here, Cade. They're pretty contrarian. Detroit's on a short week, having covered a huge 4.5 against the Ravens. But I'm going to try to get greedy and see if I can get 10.5. Like if I can get Browns 10.5, that kind of excites me. Right now you can get a 10. It's plus 8.1 recommended green star play. I have another model here at 8 even. And if you scroll down, you should be able to find some 10s. Yeah, bet 365, bet MGM. Obviously, if you're playing Browns, they got to play good defense and keep this thing lower scoring. So, Cade, any love? I know you're an Ohio guy. Any love for Browns if you can get a 10 or 10.5?
I'm all for it. I'm running it back
Nice.
this week. I never thought that I would be like this high on the Browns back to back, especially coming off of an outright win as such a big dog last week. But truly, I would not be shocked if they can do it again, honestly, because as high as a win that the Lions are coming off of, all of a sudden you have a short line. I want to call it a short line because it to me, that is pretty short. As far as like you look at the team side by side on paper, you would think last year that this game would not even be close. And so far, they've held all three of their opponents under 250 yards. And when you look at who they've played, you go, oh my God. Like Joe Burrow, Ravens, Packers. I say Joe Burrow because it's, obviously. It's not Cincinnati. But they faced three really good offenses. Defense hasn't blinked a single time. They've given up the fewest yards in the league. They have the third most sacks, and they're only surrendering 2.3 yards per rushing attempt right now. They're playing unstoppable. I love anything above a touchdown period, but yeah, I'm with you. If I get a 10.5, that's going to be a definite play, 1,000%. Yeah,
I'm right there with you. Again, a gross play, but they're kind of in a similar spot against the Packers. I guess the only difference is the line kind of came down, toward the Browns. I think they were 8.5, closed at 7.5. This thing has gone down and then come back up. But Again, be greedy. You don't have to make every bet, but have a number in your head.
Sure.
Key number 3, key number 7, key number 10. If you can get a 10.5, hey, that's going to be a fire spot for me to take Browns in this game.
I might play small at a touchdown, but yeah, I would like to ideally wait for the 10, but yeah.
And again, we can look across the market. There's a couple books at 10. Maybe the love for the Detroit Lions and just the anti-Browns bias between now and kickoff maybe brings that up a little bit. But good model there with the Browns. Now let's talk some college games, Cade, because there were a few games I wanted to hit on with you. If we go to our homepage, go to college football, there was a game for tomorrow that I wanted to get your take on. So it is Florida State and Virginia. This is let me find this one for you. It is a 7:00 game tomorrow, primetime game. Public is all over Florida State. They're ranked. They're looking great. They're coming in 8th overall, 3-0 record. Public thinks this line is way too low. It actually opened with Florida State laying 7 or even 7.5. It stayed at 7. Or actually, I'm seeing some openers like maybe that's an outlier, but like an 8.5 even. Like this line was pretty high in favor of Florida State. Public's hammering the Seminoles. Line's falling to Virginia. I'm seeing some books juiced up toward the Virginia +7, -115, -120, and some books are getting down to 6.5. So I'm thinking, should I take the +7 with Virginia here? You have a conference dog. You have a primetime Friday Night Lights game. Everybody and their mother is going FSU. But check it out here. 2 recommended Green Star plays. Virginia +7. It is a smart signal. We just talked about these great smart signals a second ago. We have a prediction of Virginia +5.3. You can get a 7. And my other model is Virginia +3.9. So any thoughts on Virginia +7 here, Cade?
Absolutely, because I mean, to me, it's just like another one of those college football spot bets. Florida State, it's your conference opener for them, and it's obviously, I don't want to call it a road test and act like Virginia's hostile, but they look like a well-rounded team. Chandler Morris started out hot. He's got over 1,000 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception so far, and don't look now, but I mean, they've got a top 30 offense, which I never thought I'd say this year yet. Trail Harris, stud. I like him a lot. He's one of the probably the favorite target on this team. I think he's got 3 touchdowns on the year. To me, Florida State's secondary to me has been really shaky. I go back to the Alabama game. Yes, they kind of limited Ryan Williams, but they also let Jeremy Bernard go for a lot, like more. I think it was like 150 if I remember correctly. As a result of that, I have Seminoles at 52nd overall in opponent EPA per drop back, which does highlight Chandler Morris in that offense for me even more. And yeah, to me, it's just, I could go back to it. Pure spot bet. It's conference opener. I kind of like them to give them a scare. I don't think it's outright. I don't think it's an upset or anything, but it's enough, and the line says enough to me that the books think that this one could be closer than most people are clearly thinking, given that how much it's moved, with how big the public is on Florida State in this case. So yes, I do like them anything better than a touchdown.
Love it. Yeah, I missed the 7.5. I'm probably going to put in +7 right after we finish up this show. And to your point, I'm glad you kind of mentioned the public love for Florida State. Just the fact that Virginia is unranked versus ranked, that's like an auto bet for me. I love taking the unranked team versus the ranked team. I just pulled up some splits here from VSiN.com. DraftKings right now, 84% of spread bets are laying it with Florida State. So why, if 84%, I mean, that's really lopsided. Like you get 80% or more, that is a huge, clear public love bias consensus. If everyone's playing Florida State, why is the line dropping down in favor of Virginia? Why are the odds makers getting inundated with all this Seminoles money from average Joe bettors, yet they're not going Florida State up to 8 or 9. They're coming down toward UVA. So I like this spot toward Virginia. If you look at Circa, the Cavs are only getting 31% of bets, but 64% of dollars. And again, the really cherry on top for me is this smart signal recommended Virginia play +5.3. So I'm with you here. I like Virginia tomorrow. A couple other ones just to wrap up the show. Let's talk about one that is near and dear to my heart, Arkansas. The Razorbacks. Razorbacks are at home against Notre Dame. And this one's been pretty clear, just kind of up my wheelhouse type play. Public is all over Notre Dame, but they open as high as -6. The line's down to 4.5. Some books are even down to as low as, I think, like 4. So this line is clearly going toward Arkansas. Now, this is what trips me up. Rithmm is saying go the other way. Rithmm is saying take Notre Dame, favored by 7. Notre Dame favored by 5.4. So this would be an example. Like, Cade, we love doing shows where, like, hey, market says this, Rithmm says this. Well, perfect. They're all on the same side. I don't like to go against Rithmm, but I'm going to take the points of the Razorbacks here. I'm curious to think your take on this game. Do you agree with rhythm where Notre Dame should be more of a touchdown favorite? Or what do you think here? Is this a spot where the Razorbacks cover or Notre Dame rolls?
See, I hate talking about games where my fandom affects it.
Yeah, you're an Irish guy, aren't you?
I'm a big Irish guy. And
Yeah.
this absolutely sucks because the Razorbacks are absolutely the right side in this case. To me,
Good man.
I have Razorbacks at 7.5 on Novig right now.
Nice.
I had that at -124. I only played that at a half because I do have a play in the total as well, but I'll talk about the side for a minute. This Notre Dame defense is atrocious. As a fan, I have not seen a defense as bad as this one since like early 2000s days. As much as I'd love just to trash how bad this team has been, even though I'm a fan of them right now, we don't have time for that. But Arkansas, for a perfect example, they're coming off of a pretty rough loss on the road against Memphis as a Group of 5 team. Big win for them. In the game they probably should have won. They fumbled inside the 10-yard line when they were going to try to kick a field goal as time expired, and ball gets punched out with like under a minute left, and that's the game. Come back home. Razorbacks fan base is one like any other I've ever seen in my entire life. They're absolutely chaotic for how bad they are, but I respect it. I absolutely respect it. To me, and again, Notre Dame's coming off a really tough loss a couple weeks back, and now they bounce back against Purdue. It's Purdue, but there's no way that you can get me to back them better than 4.5, much less a touchdown at this when I have a defense as bad as this. So I go to the total. I have the over 64.5 for -109 at Bali. Also playing that for half of a unit as well. Same thing. It's both defenses are, I don't want to say bad. Yeah, they're bad. Both defenses are just bad in this case. Notre Dame's offense has been nothing short of electric. I am ecstatic for how good they've been playing on the offensive side of the ball, but I'm worried about what Taylor Green is going to do to this defense. It could be bad. But then again, Arkansas has one of the worst rushing defenses in the country. When you have a running back there like Jeremiah Love, Jajarian Price, things could be a ground and pound game, but Notre Dame may run for like 250 yards. Arkansas may pass for 400. It's probably going to be one of those games. But yeah, I do like this over, despite how high it is. I do like it at 64.5. That's what I have.
Yeah, and these teams have put up a ton of points here. I'm just looking at Notre Dame too. Like, I know you're an Irish guy, so I don't want to like, rain on your parade here, but like,
please do.
Why is Notre Dame ranked? Like, they're 1-2. I know you beat up on Notre Dame here, but I know you cover. Who was it? You were -6.5 against at Texas A&M. You lose outright. You hung tough with Miami. I think that was one of the first streams that we did. But remember, they were -2.5 in that game. You had Carson Beck in Miami cover that number. So I just think it's annoying to me that they're ranked. I hate that. Like, you're 1-2. You should not be ranked. Like, I don't know. That's a whole nother side note. But I am glad that. So it's clear for you, kid. You take the points with the Razorbacks. Either your team wins and you're happy as a fan, or your bet wins, or maybe Notre Dame wins by 3 or 4, and you hit
maybe
both.
Yeah, so. I was going to say maybe they cancel each other out, and we actually I'm happy either way. But yeah, I did take Arkansas's money line outright just to save for our sanity, even though it's probably still not going to. So
well, you'll find a way to be happy with some sort of outcome.
I hope so.
All right, let's finish up the stream here, Cade, with the 2 biggest college football games of the weekend. By the way, have you noticed that Lane Kiffin's daughter is dating the middle linebacker of LSU? Like, even my wife, who she hates football, she doesn't care at all. Even she on her like TikTok or Instagram, she's like, "What's going on here?" And I'd explain everything, yada yada yada. Lane Kiffin, even I'm pretty sure he replied to someone who tweeted that and said, "Take the over," which. Interesting. He knows lines. There was a few years ago where
this guy.
Yeah, remember he said rat poison because he did something that didn't cover the number at the end, and he had a nod to the bettors. I mean, this guy knows the line. He knows everything about betting, so I give him credit. But that being said, I really like Ole Miss here, man. If you look at the way this line is moved, dog to fave is kind of the theme of today's stream. This was dog to fave toward Ole Miss. You had LSU at some shops opening -1.5. We've now flipped to Ole Miss -1.5. You have a great offense here. You're in a good spot at home to hopefully get it done. It's a 3:30 game. And then if we look at some of the splits across the market, we're pretty good here in favor of Ole Miss to get this thing done. And you also have a system with 2 ranked teams take the favorite. That's been covering and winning at a pretty good rate historically. Ole Miss is only getting – this is what I really like about Ole Miss. Only 35% of spread bets at DraftKings are taking Ole Miss. So the public's all over LSU. They're saying wrong team is favored. It's just an LSU play all day, yet the line is flipping toward Ole Miss. So, again, I like the Rebels here, and I love the fact that Rithmm is backing me up. This reminds me a little bit of, again, that Chiefs-Eagles game where the line flipped to the Eagles. Rithmm had Eagles -3 when they were laying 1.5. Look right here, Cade. Rithmm has Ole Miss -3.1. Green Star recommended play. So I moneylined Ole Miss. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
The only time I might go against you here. I do have LSU money line.
Tell me why. This is great. This is what makes a good stream. Tell me.
Of course. It's been a while. I don't think we've won against each other since the very first week since Kansas State, Iowa State, and we all know how that ended. So it's okay. Now, I do have an LSU national championship ticket, which that doesn't have really anything to do in this game, but it just shows how high I am on this team. Ole Miss is going through a quarterback change right now. We want to call it change, but then again, he's also got a decent amount of playing experience before this game, and an impressive amount, I should say. To me, it comes down to this is the game that LSU's offense proves themselves to me personally. And a lot of people kind of disagree, and rightfully so. They've been bad. They don't look like they are a top 3 team in the country right now. But their defense, on the other hand, I think is the one that limits that. Their Ole Miss's secondary is a bit depleted, in my opinion, right now. Ole Miss is also coming off of an incredibly blowout of a game, and a game that most thought was going to be much closer. To me, I don't like Brian Kelly in the slightest. Don't get me wrong. However, Nussmeier in a game like this versus a pretty sure Chambliss is a freshman. No, actually, no, he's a transfer. Chambliss is making his first start against a true SEC team scares the daylights out of me personally. And I don't really I kind of like going back to what I said about the NFL with the backup cornerbacks. I just don't like the idea of backing them, especially in a spot like this. I'll take the veteran quarterback over one that hasn't really played much experience against a defense such as LSU's. The numbers, yes, they do point directly at Ole Miss here. It's not really obvious. It's obvious there. I just can't get past the fact that maybe Landry Kiffin is maybe scheming up some things and might be giving some insight to Whit Weeks in that LSU defense. I got it in my mind. So no data. We're going strictly off of his daughter. Just kidding. No. As much as I'd love to, no. I just like the spot for LSU here personally. It's a prove-it game for them. Ole Miss, this seems like a little bit of a regression standpoint from their backup quarterback. So I'll take the short. I had kind of a little bit of a bad number. I don't want to call it bad, but -110 for LSU on the opener. Didn't really expect a lot of buyback on Ole Miss here, but clearly that's the case. But not too far off, but I'll still take it.
And by the way, Cade, who are your allegiances with? Your sweetheart, college, girlfriend, boyfriend, or your dad? Come on. If you're married, I'll give you that. If you're engaged, I'll give you that. But you got to be with your dad there. Come on. But anyway, any thoughts on the total? Just because it's funny, because Lane Kiffin did tweet, take the over.
Right.
It did rise a little bit. It was I think it was 55.5 to 56.5, 57. Everyone's playing the over. 80% bets, 90% dollars. And if we look, and that's at DraftKings. And I do have 2 caution flags on the over. Predicted 58.8 and 58.2. What does your number have for this total? And are you intrigued by this? Or is Lane Kiffin playing mind games? He says take the over, when in reality, he thinks this is an underplay.
I he thinks is, well, clearly he thinks it's going to be a shootout. Apparently, I don't know if that means if Ole Miss wins by 50 here and they hit it by themselves, or if that means it's going to be an LSU like 3-point win or Ole Miss 3-point win or something like that. I couldn't tell you. I will say Ole Miss's defense just hasn't impressed me enough to back them in that kind of case. I am curious what Rithmm says about the sides or team totals in that case. This is how I kind of look at my team totals, because I did originally like LSU's at 27.5. It does have them on the over, it looks like, for those models. But yeah, I just can't get past backing that defense, knowing how good LSU's defense has improved from last year. I don't know. I don't have a play in the total. I don't really have a side. I guess I do lean the over because I'm hoping that LSU would run that kind of thing up. But in a game like this, especially. But yeah, that would be it.
Yeah, and the total did go up. You have the Kiffin comment, but you also got to think, what are the odds makers rooting for? I mean, such heavy, literally almost 90% of bets are on this over. They're going to root like hell for the under, because if they can cash this under, they're going to make a lot of money. I'll just tell you this, Cade, we're going up against each other, but LSU's had my number. I played them. I played Clemson in that opening game against LSU. Clemson's looking good. They're winning at the half. LSU came back and won the game. So, Cade, one of us will win this bet. That's fine by me.
That's okay.
All right, let's wrap it up here with a huge game late night. We got Alabama going up against Georgia. This is a 7:30 game ABC. It's been pretty clear here. The line is moving toward Alabama, because we opened this game with Georgia as high as I want to say a 4-point favorite, 3.5. You're down to 3. There really aren't a lot of hooks out there anymore. I jumped on plus 3.5 earlier this week with Alabama, but this is a play for me that primetime game. Public is really kind of off the Alabama train, because probably the head coach just does not instill any confidence here. And it seems like since Saban left, they're not the same Alabama. But 80% of tickets at DraftKings are on Georgia, but Georgia's not going up to 5 or 6. The line is coming down toward Alabama. So I took the plus 3.5 with Alabama. If we can pull up this game through Rithmm is also kind of recommending the same sort of thing here. I have two models. They're both caution flags, but both recommending Alabama. So one is caution flag, but Alabama plus 1.2. That's pretty good if you're getting 3.5. And Alabama plus 1.4. So I'm taking the points of the Crimson Tide plus 3.5. Conference dog, primetime dog, reverse line move in a heavily bet game. Also, you do have 2 ranked teams, but the obvious play would be take number 5 Georgia against 17 Bama. I'm taking the points. Cade, what's your take on Bama, Georgia?
I've been talking about this with the guys we run our podcast with, and I've coin flipped at least a solid like 4 times, and I'm still not there. So the point that I did find,
to coin flip some more. It's okay.
Right, I do. That's true. I did find a play in the over. I have it at 50. I think it's 53.5 is what I have. Yes, 53.5 minus 108 on DraftKings right now. And yeah, I look back at last year's game between these two. You have good news for Alabama, because you have starting running back obviously is going to be seeing action for the first time. So I like that idea for Jam Miller for sure. Offensive line has been 11th best in stuff rate. So hoping that Jam Miller is expected to kind of get some action in there. I kind of like his workload this week. Ty Simpson, and another point as well, phenomenal. Nothing short of phenomenal. I love the way he's been. It's just this Alabama defense, which brings me to the total. Because Georgia offense, on the other hand, we just seen what they did to Tennessee, and my God, I'm mind blown, because as much as I think we both had Tennessee, I think
they covered, but they should have won, man.
Right. Okay. So it's just, as heartbreaking as that was, yes, they should have won. I'm incredibly impressed with Gunnar Stockton right now, and they deserve plenty credit. They've struggled to find protection, I guess, and from the offensive line standpoint, because he's seen a ton of pressures. It's 31 pressures on over 100 dropbacks so far. That's not very good from a percentage standpoint. But then again, Georgia's defense also has struggled, particularly against the pass. When you have wide receivers like Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, we've seen how electric this game was last year. One of the best games that I've seen in college football in a very long time, since like the old Big 12 days, to me personally. I think we see pretty much the same exact game. Like, I don't think it's going to be 28-0 or 30-something at halftime, but points will be scored. Points have to be scored. They know their defenses are not good enough to kind of keep up with that. To me, I just think there's a chip on both of these teams' shoulder to pretty much prove something, because if you're Georgia, you have a revenge angle at home. For Bama's case, everybody in the country has been downing them since week 1. So I like the idea that both are pretty much striving to prove something, not only for the public's case, but for maybe the playoff committee's case, and that kind of perspective of a seeding standpoint. But yeah, I like points being scored in this one. I'm going to wait on a side until I get a good enough number, because I would honestly, what I was super tempted to do is make my dumb long shot thing of a Saturday that I usually do and take Bama at a hook of like 3.5 or 4.5 if it gets there, and then money line Georgia, because that's like how close I just think that this game could be. So that's where I stand between the two. I'm still coin flipping though. So unfortunately, I don't have anything.
Well, there's nothing wrong with waiting, letting your model update, let the public, let the ticket count increase, let the bet splits even out here. So I'm with you. I'm going Georgia 3.5. This Alabama plus 3.5. Kind of feels like a prime time. Georgia wins by 3, that sort of thing. So I'll take the hook here. But Cade, yeah, wrapping things up. As we always want to make our buddy Parker happy, he tells us you better list all your plays at the end of the stream here. So I'm sure we'll have more than this, but I'm on Seahawks money line tonight, Vikings money line in Ireland, Colts plus 3.5. I'm looking hard at the Browns, but I'm holding out for a 10.5, hopefully. Virginia plus 7, Arkansas plus 4.5, Ole Miss money line, Bama plus 3.5. Cade, give me some of your best plays this weekend.
Yeah, last week we expected some serious regression just because of how good my group has been doing over at Hammer Time. Last week we still went 23-14 in the weekend, which was phenomenal between the three of us. So what's regression, right? Yeah. But for tonight specifically, yes, Seahawks money line, and then who likes touchdowns, right? Like, everybody likes good touchdowns. To me, I look at the tight ends yet again. I had Tucker Kraft in that one against the Commanders that couple weeks back. Last week was Dalton Kincaid. This week, Trey McBride is finally getting targets in the red zone. So I like Trey McBride on the touchdown. I like Kyler Murray on a touchdown. Yes, am I contradicting myself on the Seahawks money line? Yes, sure. But there's value. That's why we do it. So I have those two props. And then, yeah, with the college football and NFL plays that we've gone over, plays in action on all of those as well. Within the over in Georgia, Bama, Colts plus 3.5. That I will be locking in after we get off of here, because I didn't have that before. But the moment we talked about it, I was like, yeah, crap, I forgot about that. It's better back my guy Daniel Jones there. And then Vikings money line. And then, of course, whatever else we talked about, of course.
Excellent. Well, we got a loaded card, my man. So
yeah,
wishing you the best of luck, wishing all of our viewers and fellow Rithmm wise guys and wise gals, wishing you guys the best of luck. Remember, we do this stream every Thursday. 6 o'clock. So if this is your first one or you've been with us from the start, thank you. Keep tuning in. Remember, promo code START25, 25% off. Enter that leaderboard contest. It's very simple, very easy. You literally have nothing to lose, and you could gain as much as $1,000. So make sure you enter that contest. And then we do have our Refer a Friend. We have our Discord. All of those assets are available to you right there from the Rithmm homepage. So thank you all for tuning in. Cade, best of luck, my man. Wish everyone a great weekend. Let's go Seahawks. Take us home, Cade. Any final thoughts?
While everybody else is going to be probably sleeping at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. on Saturday, I'll be tuned into the Ryder Cup for all my golf guys. I don't know where they're at, but rooting on for the country. Let's go, America. So, yeah.
Attaboy. You're a good man, Cade. I don't dabble too much in golf. What's your Twitter handle? Make sure everyone follows you and gets your Ryder Cup plays.
Twitter handle is CAD_locks, LOXX. And then, yeah, I'll probably have a Ryder Cup out by Friday. And then, yeah, of course, posting some of plays and cards over the weekend, of course.
And I'll take Happy Gilmore, longest drive. So
go for it.
That'll be fun.
Love it.
But good luck, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Thursday, and hope you have a great